In today's video, we're going to be talking about how and why your nervous system is the key to getting better results in your life. Now, most people think that they need a better strategy, a bigger team, they need more investment, all of these outside externals to create better results for themselves. However, I'm here to tell you that all of that's great to have, but really, even if you had all of the money in the world, even if you had all of the strategies, if you haven't actually taken control of your internal world, that means regulating your nervous system and retraining your subconscious mind, you'll always fall back to self-sabotaging behaviors. And even if you do somehow manage to grind it out, power it out and get the results that you wanted, you'll still feel deeply empty inside and unable to actually enjoy the success that you've created. That is because your nervous system is the key to your results. Now, I've said it in many of these videos before, but you are way more than just your physical body. You're a soul and you're having a human experience. Now, you as the soul, as the consciousness, as the I am who is observing all of this reality, you have been gifted a mind and a body. And it is your nervous system, which is your brain and your nerves and your 5 physical senses, which plugs you in to this reality. Now, most of us are out here, or most people are out there thinking that their outside world, people, places, circumstances, things, that is the cause of how they feel inside. Okay, someone cuts me up in traffic, that's why I feel angry. Something terrible happened to me as a kid, this is why I'm not a success. Okay, however, as all of the ancient civilizations have told us, the Hermetic philosophy, our internal world is actually the cause of the outside results, okay? Not the other way around. Most people are thinking that the outside world is the cause of their internal state, but it is the other way around. Now, once we understand that everything starts within, and it's our internal state, how we think, how we feel, and our belief systems. Remember, I've said this so many times in all of the videos I've been doing, but there's that formula, okay? Your belief systems are controlling your thoughts. Your thoughts are controlling your feelings are controlling your results, or your feelings are controlling your actions, and your actions are controlling your results, okay? I will link in the description below a couple of the trainings that you can watch to understand how your mind-body connection works, okay? But for the process of this video, it is your belief systems and your internal state, how you think and how you feel, that is controlling your results. Okay, now your nervous system, as I said, is what plugs you into this reality, your 5 physical senses. You hear, you see, you smell, you taste, and you touch. Now, our nervous system has 2 sides to it, okay? You've got your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system, okay? And these 2 sides of your nervous system make up your ANS, your autonomic nervous system, okay? Your autonomic nervous system functions on a subconscious level, okay? Your autonomic nervous system and your subconscious mind are connected, okay? Your subconscious, your autonomic nervous system does not have to think about your heart beating or your blood pumping, okay? It just does that for you, okay? It's below the level of consciousness. Now, this is where your nervous system comes in. You've got 2 branches, all right? Your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. Now, your sympathetic is the go, go, go. You can imagine it like the gas pedal on a car, all right? And the parasympathetic is like the brake, okay? Now, there are 2 sides to it, okay? And they have a system which is either fight or flight and rest and digest, otherwise known as survival and creation. Now, this system was super beneficial for our ancestors in the wild, in the savannah, all right? And considering we and our brains have barely even changed since 1,000 years ago, we still have the same brains as our ancestors did, but we're living in a new environment. All right. Now, the way that our brain and our eyes and all of our 5 physical senses are designed is to help us survive. All right. That is the whole point of our human body and our human senses, is to help us survive and procreate and eat. And that's pretty much it. All right. Now, in the savannah, hundreds of thousands of years ago, we would have been hunting and gathering. All right. Now, our 5 physical senses would have. All right. We'll have a little distraction. Let's have a sip. All right, so back to your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system, all right? So hundreds and thousands of years ago, our ancient ancestors would have used these two systems, the fight and flight and the rest and digest, okay? So what would happen is they would be out in the savannah, and their five physical senses would have picked up on something moving in the bushes, okay? Those senses would then pick that up, and that would register in the brain. And that would then send signals down your nervous system, down your spine, to either signal your fight or flight response or your rest and digest. Okay, now fight or flight would be signaling for your brain to tell your body to get ready to fight or run away from the danger. Okay, flight, yeah. So what that would then do, that would make the heart beat faster, that would flow adrenaline, cortisol through the bloodstream, that would send all the body into emergency mode, all right? All of the blood would go into the extremities, ready for us to fight or run away, all right? Now, that would shut down the digestive organs and escape the danger. Once the danger was gone, once they had escaped the danger and they're back around the fireplace, they would have calmed down and rest and digest. The five physical senses would have picked up on what's going on in the outside world, all right? And they would then rest and digest, okay? This is what happens. It goes up and down, back to homeostasis. When they're in rest and digest, the heartbeat starts to slow down, the breath starts to slow down, the blood flows back to all of the different parts of the body, the digestive organs, the sexual organs, etc., and things would have come back to normal. Okay. Now, the crazy thing about this system, this autonomic nervous system, the two branches, is that you can signal this thing just through your thoughts alone. All right. You can just be sitting there and using your higher faculty of your mind, imagination. You could just be sitting there, and we can try it right now, thinking about a sexual fantasy, for example, right? When you have this sexual fantasy, you create a thought within your mind, all right? And then those thoughts will signal to different parts of your brain to create chemicals, which then signal to your Johnson to get hard on, right? And exactly the same with other things. If you're sitting there and you've just finished work and you're sitting on your sofa and you're thinking, my boss is such a cunt, right? That's then flooding your brain and body with cortisol, adrenaline, and all of a sudden you find yourself ready to fucking fight because you've just sit there thinking about the argument you've got to have with your boss or with your missus, okay? So it goes to show that your parasympathetic nervous system and your sympathetic nervous system are in control of your results, all right? If you're sitting there imagining my boss is a dickhead, right, but you're in a completely safe environment, then your next conversation that you're going to have, the next sales call, the next meeting you're going to have, you're going to be riled up, right? And because our outside world is merely a reflection of how we think and how we feel inside, then the other person is going to feel that. I'm sure you've experienced it, right? You've not been feeling 100%. You go up into your next meeting and you just know they're not going to buy from you because you're angry, you're still pissed off about the guy who cut you up, and then you didn't get it, all right? You didn't get the deal, and next thing you know, it's a downward spiral, okay? That is because you're thinking and your feeling is creating the actions that you take, all right? So this is why your nervous system is the key to your results, right? You can have all of the strategies in the world, you can have all of the team, you can have everything, but if your nervous system is constantly stuck in fight or flight, then, and your old subconscious patterns are, I need to regulate this, then you're gonna use drugs, alcohol, junk food, scrolling, any of these vices, yeah, to try and come back to homeostasis, because that essentially is what drugs and alcohol are doing. Your nervous system is in fight or flight from the stresses of the day, financial pressures, work pressure, all of the things that are going on in our modern life, yeah? Your nervous system is perceiving that as, fuck, I'm in danger, right? Even if you're not physically in danger, there's not a lion that's about to attack you, but your body and your brain registers that email from your boss or the tax man send you an email as actual danger, right? So if you aren't able to then learn to regulate your nervous system and calm yourself down, you're going to be in fight or flight all of the time, right? And when we're in fight or flight, you're in survival mode, okay? So survival mode is your fight or flight response, your sympathetic nervous system, all right? And then you've got your parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. This is your creation mode, all right? Now, I've spoke about the automatic success mechanism in one of the previous videos, which I'll link in the description below. But the automatic success mechanism is your subconscious mind, all right? It's a mechanism which infinite intelligence, God's spirit, universe, quantum field, whatever you want to call it, our creator has instilled in each and every one of us. Now, Animals, every single animal has it, and you can see this in the animal kingdom. Lions, for example, birds, squirrels, right? A squirrel does not have to take a course in learning about foraging for the winter when it's born in the summer, right? A lion doesn't have to fucking get a course to say this is how to hunt. Or a bird doesn't have to learn in a book at university how to fly south in the winter to warmer climates, right? So that is a success instinct, all right? And they have an instinct inside of them that drives them, that's below the level of consciousness, right? Now, human beings, you and I, we have those instincts, but not just for procreation and not just for food and sex, etc. We have these instincts and this guiding mechanism to anything that we want to create in life, right? Any goal, anything that we want, we have this guiding force, right? And it's below the level of consciousness. And the way that it works through having an aim, all right, having a clear goal in sight, then having trust that you've got this mechanism that will work below the level of consciousness that will subconsciously help you through intuition, through your higher faculties of your mind, imagination, intuition, guidance, synchronicity, your excitement, that will help you to make the right decisions as they come along in the present moment, all right? Then you have to learn, you have to trust, and you have to take action as well, okay? But this only works, this subconscious automatic success mechanism that will guide you to help you create whatever you want in your life only works when we are in creation mode, all right? When the nervous system is calm and relaxed, all right? If we are constantly worried about a certain thing, right? The way that our brain and body works, we have the thinking feeling loop. We think a thought, it creates chemicals within our body, and that chemical then switches us onto fight or flight. And then when we're in fight or flight, the body then tells the brain to create more chemicals and more images in the mind of fear, worry, anxiety, doubt. And then it creates more chemicals. It's a loop, all right? So if we are, take for example, money. Right? You're fearful about money. You're fearful about going broke. How am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to do this? Right? What happens is you create the images in your mind of going broke. How am I going to pay the bills, right? I've got the tax man to pay. Yeah, all of these different things in your mind. And having those images in your mind is exactly the same as you seeing a lion in the savannah, okay? But this time it's just imaginary in your mind, all right? And because you can't think about anything other than that, you then tell your body to create chemicals in your body. Stress, worry, fear, cortisol, adrenaline, right? And then the body's like, yeah, got ya. Flooding the body with fight or flight. And when you're in this survival mode, all you're doing is thinking about how am I going to get through this, right? You're focused on one thing. You're in the known. You don't know, like, you're literally stressing about everything, right? But when we're able to slow our brain waves down from high beta into alpha, into theta, into the subconscious mind, and connecting to infinite intelligence, universe, God, spirit, quantum field, whatever you want to call it, this is when we get access to that subconscious automatic success mechanism, right? And that's when we calm down, we breathe deeply, we use the 3 parts of the breath, all right? If you don't know how to breathe correctly, I will link the fundamentals of breath work, or you can comment breath below and I will send you over that free training, okay? But the breath is the remote control to your nervous system. So when you breathe nice and deeply in and out through your nose, you signal to your nervous system to switch on to rest and digest. And when we slow the nervous system down, we slow that overthinking, worry and doubt in mind, okay? And then instead of us thinking, oh, I need drugs, alcohol, I need something to take the edge off, we breathe nice and deeply. Those thoughts start to slow down. And then once we have slowed everything down, we are then able to connect to intuition, guidance, the subconscious mind, right? And then we've got a little distraction again, the beauties of being here. The little daughter's at the door. So, as I was saying, when we slow everything down from our brain waves into alpha, into theta, into our subconscious mind, and we live in the present moment, this is where we are able to get insights, intuitions, downloads, signs, symbols, okay, synchronicities that are going to help us achieve that goal, providing that the goal in mind, what we hold, the image in mind, is of something positive and worthwhile. This is why I tell you to do the vision blueprint, all right? And if you haven't done the vision blueprint, I will link that in the description as well, because remember, you have to have a goal. A man without a goal is like a ship without a captain. So, of course, when things go wrong, things are difficult, you're going to reach for drink, drugs, alcohol, junk food, all of these vices to take the edge off, right? But once you have a clear goal and you know where you're going and you know why you're going, remember Viktor Frankl, a man with a why can deal with almost any how. Okay, so once you know where you're going and why you're going there, and it's bigger than falling back into any of these vices, then it's about learning how to control your breath and control your nervous system so that you can always, or 95% of the time, stay in your parasympathetic nervous system. So no matter what happens in life, you just continually breathing nice and deeply the three parts of the breath, through the nose and through the nose. And what you're doing there is you're telling your brain and your body and your nervous system that everything is okay, all right? Because when we breathe in and out through the nose, especially longer exhales than inhales, we just tell our body to switch on to parasympathetic. Because when we're in parasympathetic mode, we're breathing nice and slow, nice and long, nice and deep through the nose. But when we're in sympathetic nervous system, we're breathing short, sharp, and shallow, ready to fight, right? So if we can learn to control our breath, breathe nice and deeply, we signal to our parasympathetic nervous system to switch on. We stay in rest and digest mode. The brain switches out from high beta into alpha into theta. We get access to that automatic subconscious success mechanism. And if we stay like that 24/7, 365, then we're in a flow state, all right? And then we're going about our day-to-day actions, something happens, okay, stresses us out. Instead of us being stuck in fight or flight and stuck in survival for days and weeks, all right, and then telling ourselves we're just this angry person and then we need drugs, alcohol, and junk food to take the edge off. No, we learn to regulate ourselves, all right? And then we get the signs, the synchronicities, the intuition, okay? Because remember, this is a game, a cosmic game that you and I are in. And you are the main character. We are consciousness, God, spirit, I am, experiencing life through your point of view and through my point of view, all right? And we've been gifted this automatic success mechanism, our mind, our body, our subconscious mind, our nervous system, and our body as the character, right? And we get to choose. We just need to learn how to use our internal control system, all right? And that's what we teach inside the internal control system, is to learn how to understand and use and utilize the tools and the techniques to retrain those old subconscious beliefs, behaviors, and habits, the old patterns that have been programmed into you from birth up until the present moment, and then using and understanding all the tools to take control, all right, of your mind, your body, your emotional state, and then reconnecting to yourself, to consciousness, to a higher infinite intelligence, all right? Because once you understand that, you don't actually need the outside, right? Because you know, once you take control of yourself, you're going to automatically take the right decisions. It's not going to be forcing it with willpower. You're not going to need this or that. It's going to be like, okay, I do the right thing here, and synchronicity then brings about the right people, the right circumstances to help me achieve my goal, all right? This is where you'll just go out for a coffee, and all of a sudden you'll meet the right person. You start a business with them, for example, and then they introduce you to the right person, instead of you having to struggle and spend loads of money or do loads of things or get new strategies, all these sort of things, right? This is where you've been taught wrong, all right? And this is where all these people who are trying to sell you courses are trying to sell you a system, right, which doesn't get to the root cause of it. Your subconscious mind patterns, that your belief systems, remember, beliefs, thoughts, feelings, actions, results, right? They're trying to tell you about the actions, okay? This is what you need to do, right? But you've not got control and sorted out the top, all right? So anything that you do here, no matter if you get the money, no matter if you get the relationship, you'll subconsciously self-sabotage. You'll snap back like a rubber band because you did not control and reprogram and retrain your subconscious mind of those old belief systems. Learn how to regulate your nervous system, all right? And then if you continue going about all of these things, it will end up in dis-ease, all right? And that's what the name is. It's a body not at ease. So I promise you, regulating your nervous system is the key to all of your success.